Greetings. My name is George Boston Rhines, former sporting goods department manager at Wal-Mart store number 2615 in Valdosta, Georgia. I have been ignored by Wal-Mart President Mike Duke and several other presidents. I was terminated in March 20th, 2008 for inability to perform job. I have written 30 letters to Wal-Mart presidents and board of directors refuting and proving my point that I was wrongfully terminated. I have produced in these videos 34 pages of the 4-week training program for all sporting goods department managers in the United States of America and perhaps in China and around the world. But not one page of the 34-page documents did I sign, date, initial off on, nor can Wal-Mart prove that anyone was assigned my trainer, initial off on, dated, and signed on this mandatory training. After 30 letters, 12 video tapes, 3.5 years, 34 pages of proof, beyond any reasonable doubt that I was denied this required training. So this will be video 13. I will address this video to David D. Glass, Chairman of the Executive Committee of the Board of Directors of Wal-Mart Stores Inc. since February 2000. Mr. Glass, if no one told you or passed any of the 30 letters along to you and the Board of Directors, George Boston Rhines is going to inform you this day, along with your Board of Director members. Stanley Galt was on the board since '96. S. Robson Walton on the board since 1978. Ronald Hernandez been on the board since '98. M. Michelle Burns was on the board since 2003. Josie Valerio been on the board since 1998. John T. Walton been on the board since 2003. James W. Breyer been on the board since 2001. Jackie C. Shoemaker been on the board since 1977. Paul Reason been on the board since 2001. H. Lee Scott Jr. been on the board since 1999. Don Leopold been on the board since 2001. And Thomas G. McCulling been on the board since 2001. I ask you, Mr. Chairman Glass, along with your other board members, to ask Mr. Mike Duke to let you look over my 30 letters that I've sent to you all. And you determine, how could it be in 2011, a worker, retired military veteran of the United States Armed Forces for over 20 years, an employee with 6 commendation medals from the United States Air Force, owned my own business for 14 years, New Mind Music here in Valdosta, Georgia, former president of the NAACP, community activist, journalist by my own right, single parent of 3 children, successful children. Been published in USA Today and other newspapers across the nation. Been on ABC Nightly News with Charles Gibson during the 2008 presidential election of President Barack Obama. Just to mention a few. Not to mention the fact that I was the sporting goods department manager for only 8 months, but served your facility for 3 years and 6 months, but never received the training. In my first year, made 41 changes to improve and save Wal-Mart money. It's all in my record. It's all been documented. Yet, store manager Hal Harwell at this store terminated me under the title of inability to perform job, although he never trained me. I have refuted every one of the rebuttals that was given to justify my termination. Most of them are on YouTube, and everybody around the world can see them for themselves. I have just begun to fight. I watched before I was wrongfully terminated. I watched how workers were terminated, and they walked out of those doors crying like little babies, and I didn't understand it then. Mr. Glass, Mr. Walton, I didn't understand it then. But I know that I was a professional worker, and I was in the midst of a lot of incompetent assistant managers and co-managers. I did my job well. And I'm only asking you to check the record. Interview those in my department. Now, Charles Jude have already given a letter, and I have a copy of it. It's posted on YouTube, and it's on my blog, Wal-Mart Store 2615.blogspot.com. He will soon join me in a video to state how he was offered the position of department manager of sporting goods at store 2615 after I was wrongfully terminated. He wrote in his letter, and I quote, "I do not want to take a position so I will be mistreated like George Rhymes. He was fair to all the workers," unquote. He is a realist, and he was my best worker, but he refused to take the position as department manager because of the way I was treated. Now, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to give you time to look over my record, to call store manager Hal in on the carpet, and let him explain and justify why he allowed me to sit in position as Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated department manager for 8 long months with no training. And if I was not satisfying my boss, Frank Summerlin, why don't you fire him? And if store manager Hal allowed me to work for 8 months, why haven't he already been kicked out of the door? And there's a lot of things that a lot of people know. I'm not bringing them out yet, but I will. Mr. Glass and the executive committee of the board of directors, this can only get worse, because the truth speaks for itself. I don't need no substantiation. I don't need even the supporters from my coworkers. I have enough right now. Although EEOC told me, they told me that I had a good ground for a suit because you all violated your own guidelines and directives. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know if that's true or not. But because I'm in an at-will to work state, which means I can be fired for good cause, bad cause, or for no cause at all. And you are right, I guess. You don't have to respond to me. But I humbly suggest that you respond to me. After all, every letter that I sent to you all, Mr. Glass, it had a date on it, it had valid questions, and I signed my signature. Since I was terminated from Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated, I have yet to receive one letter, just one courtesy, just one acknowledgement with a valid date, a name and signature block on a letter, which is basic in the corporate world. How could you not do that? Mr. Glass, Mr. Mike Duke, how can you just sit back and think that I'm going to go to sleep and turn over and play dead or bury my head in the sand like the legend concerning the ostrich bird when so many more workers have been hurt? But they refuse because they didn't have, I guess, the Spirit of God that I have, which He told me to stand on truth. And when you know you're right, and in the end, right always win. Yes. So I am determined, Mr. David G. Glass, and the board of director members, you cannot say from this day forward that you don't know. That you don't know about George BOSTON RHYNES. You know now. All you have to do is look at clip video 4, and you will see the documents, 34 pages, that I never received, not one page. All I'm asking you to do is to refute how you created a 4-week training program and deny it to me. Just put it in writing and send it to me. You may be able to stop this in its tracks because I'm a man of intelligence. I will acknowledge the truth. Just try me. Give me an excuse. Give me a reason why. Give me justification why everybody else in Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated, from coast to coast, from east to west, from south to north, from China to Washington, and around the world, can receive the 4-week training program, but George BOSTON RHYNES in Valdosta, Georgia, at store 2615, were denied the rights that others were entitled to. Just put that in paper, and there will be no more letters, there will be no more talk, there will be no more videos. But my commitment to you, Mr. Glass and Board of Directors, I wrote you 30 letters, and you have ignored every one of them. This is my 13th video. I intend to do 30 videos until you respond. Now, I said from the outset that if you didn't answer my letter, I was going into phase 2. Videos is phase 2. After I do 30 videos, then I'm going to go into phase 3. And every step is a calculated process to get Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated to treat American citizens, and especially active duty, disabled, and retired military veterans as a citizen of the United States and not as workers in China or in some other third world nation. The Honorable David D. Glass, Mr. Gulp, Hernandez, Valerio, Breyer, Reason, Lepora, Walton, Burns, Walton, John T. Walton, Shoemaker, H. Lee Scott Jr., and Mr. Calling, I'm asking you again. This is on record. You cannot say that you don't know about it now. To President Barack Obama, to Saxby Chambliss, our senator in the state of Georgia, Mr. Isaacson, I was at your meeting a few weeks ago, and I asked you about the at-will to work law here in the state of Georgia. the Congressional Black Caucus, the United States Congress, and the Senate. We need workers' rights in America. We need some protection against being ignored for 3 years and 6 months by the largest retail giant in the United States of America. I'm a veteran of the Vietnam era. I stand strong in my protest against Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated, against the President Mike Duke, David Glass, Stanley Galt, Ronald Hernandez, Joseph Valeria, James W. Breyer, J. Paul Reason, Don G. Lepore, S. Robson Walton, M. Michelle Burns, John C. Walton, Jack C. Shoemaker, H. Lee Scott Jr., and Thomas M. Cullings. My name is George Boston Rhynes. I was terminated March 20th, 2008. Mr. Glass, I will wait for your letter in writing explaining who was my trainer, what date was I in a training or flunked out of training. Why is there no proof that I was ever trained? Send me one piece of signed document with Frank Summerlin signed. Send me a copy with his signature and with my signature, which was a requirement of that document. Just send it and watch me close my mouth and publicly apologize to you. But Mr. Glass, you can't do that. It's impossible. I know you can't do it. God knows you can't do it. Those people that worked in Wal-Mart know you couldn't do it. And so, do what is right. Send me a letter, the best of your ability, and then do what you need to do in order to put Wal-Mart back in good standings with American workers in the greatest country of the United States of America, the greatest country that's supposed to stand for workers and human rights. Peace be unto you. Don't take it personal. Just take it as a genuine promise that this will not fade into the sun. And I refuse to bury my head in the sand like the legend concerning the ostrich buried and pretend that I'm in heaven while you continue to treat me and hundreds and maybe thousands of other workers. It's time for a change. Mr. Glass, look out the window. Look out the window. And just as clear as glass, it may take my case to reveal to the American people and the world what you're all about. Peace be unto you. Bye-bye. We gone.